Hello, people. I bet you haven't seen a title of a moto vlog as weird as that one, but it's true. I did stroke Michael Caine's Oscar when he wasn't looking. Let me tell you what happened. This goes back to about 1992. At that time, I was a fire alarm service engineer and I worked in Oxfordshire. I worked for a great company and I loved the job. And what was fantastic about it was the fact that I got to see lots of different places, Formula One factories, colleges, universities, labs, factories making all sorts of things. One of my favourites was a chocolate factory in Banbury because they used to give me free chocolates. But loads of different places I would go. And sometimes I would go to private houses because they were big enough that the occupants wanted their own fire system, not just your normal domestic detectors that you can buy in hardware stores. And one day I got a call out to go to look at a fire panel in South Oxfordshire, which was bleeping and it had stopped. And then a few days later, it would bleep again. And the housekeepers had reported this. And I wasn't given a name, as I say. And I turned up and I got to this house and it was two massive great gates. And I could just see a little cottage the other side of the gates. And there was an intercom. So I pressed the intercom. And after a couple of seconds, this voice said, "Hello." And I said, "Hello, fire alarm engineer, come to look at your fire panel." "Right, come up to the house." I thought, okay, fair enough. Sounds like the groundsman. It's the handyman. I'll jolly up to the house. I found out later that the little cottage belonged to the housekeepers who weren't in that day. As I drove up to the house, there were other little houses like bungalows and things, which apparently were for guests who stayed for a long time, not just overnight. They could live in these bungalows for a little while if they wanted. Got to the main house. The front door opened of this beautiful house, and standing there in a baggy pair of jogging trousers and a sweatshirt was Michael Caine. And he said, "Right, do you know where it is?" And I said, "No, I don't. I've never been here before." He goes, "We'll have to find the bloody thing then." And we started walking around the house together. Now, the thing is, in commercial premises and in lots of hotels and things like that, I know where the fire panel is going to be because legislation and rules and regulations give a good idea where it's got to be placed. In someone's house, it's different. They didn't have to have a fire alarm. So he had a fire alarm system, but it didn't have to conform to any sort of regulations. He could have his fire panel wherever he wanted it. I actually knew a quick way to find it, but I didn't want to tell him because I was getting a guided tour of Michael Caine's house with Michael Caine. We went up to the first floor at one point and walked down this corridor, and his wife Shakira came out of the bathroom with a towel round her head and in a bathrobe, and she said hello as though it was quite natural to see strange men walking through the house while she just got out of the bath. But after a while, when we couldn't find this panel, I said to him, if the panel is still alive, if it's still working, what we can do is we can remove one of your smoke detectors. This should bring a fault up on the panel. The panel will bleep, and then we can find it. And that's what we did. We took a detector down. We could hear this faint bleeping, and we followed it. And we actually found the fire panel in a cupboard in the kitchen. And it's not the best place to put a fire panel, I don't think. Anyway, he said to me, "Right, I'll leave you. You carry on and come and find me when you're finished." So I said, "Okay." I worked out what the problem was. It needed new batteries. The batteries themselves weren't holding their charge, and I won't bore you with the details. But the thing is with fire alarm batteries is that even if they're good, they've got to be changed every so often, depending on the date, because it's a life safety system, so they have to be in good order. So I put new batteries in, and even though I didn't have to, I said to him, "Look, I don't live that far away. Um, I'll call in about a week's time, and I'll just double check it over and make sure it's all behaving itself." I didn't record it, didn't charge him for the second visit because it was really a pleasure visit for me to go back there. But in the meantime, what I did was I went out and I bought his autobiography. I didn't get it in book form because I don't get a lot of time to sit and read it. But because I did a lot of driving in those days, I bought it in cassette form. It came in a double cassette, and it was called "What's It All About?" And I bought this cassette and I listened to it, and I was quite inspired by his story. And he'd been through quite a lot, and it was a great listen while I was driving around. Anyway, I took that back with me when I went back there, and I asked him if he would kindly sign it for me, and he did. And I have met other celebrities. Some of them that I've met uh, think it's beneath them to talk to you. You're a workman. Um, but Michael Caine, all the time I was there, all the time when I met him, uh, he was the nicest guy. He talked to me like I was his friend. And he really did come across as a genuinely nice person, which is why I feel slightly guilty about the fact that when he said to me, "When you're finished, come and find me," the most logical place I thought he would be is in his office. He had his own office with a desk at one end, and at the other end of it, I call it an office, it's quite large. At the other end was a running machine, and there was a mantelpiece, and on the mantelpiece was an Oscar. Now, I was going to pick it up, and I thought, no, no, I daren't. What if I drop it? So I just gave it a little stroke, people. I did. I stroked Michael Caine's Oscar, and he doesn't know. Well, if he sees this, he will. But I doubt if he'll watch this. So that's the story. It's a true story. And if you're a biker, you ride safe. If you're not a biker, you be safe. Catch you later, guys. Bye.